Y'all thought I was dead? I'm on it. Came back on you instead. Karma. We ain't partners and we damn sure ain't friends. Raising hell till that's where you descend. You a damsel distress, and I ain't Captain Save a Hole neither. It's the first the rent due. Pay is gon' leave her. Any questions? Save it for the teacher. Only thing that you should ask is what's to pay me for a feature. Baby, sign your t-shirt. You should do your research. Been standing on top so long, my feet hurt. If we freestyle, I'll run off with your threads. I got a fever, I'm hot off of the head. Shots over your head, want my props in my crib. My beat so big, you think Pac wasn't dead. Wanna harm me, then you'll need an army full of men. Don't think that I could take your Barbie, I can. Loaves of the bread, till my whole people fed. Then I skirt up in a Rari that's Soviet red. All right, everybody, welcome to Party and Politics. I am your host, Tony Vincent. With me tonight, I have a very special guest, Valid, Detroit hip-hop artist, legend in these streets, man. Been putting in work, man. What's good with you?
Chilling, brother. Just staying busy. How you?
I'm good, man. The same thing, man. You've been I love what you're doing with this whole Plumb Brandy phenomenon that's going on, man.
Yeah, man.
Tell me what was the inspiration behind all that?
Well, I'm first generation Serbian. Both of my parents are from Serbia, former Yugoslavia, the Balkan region, all that. And when I did the Mihailo album in 2019, that's my real name, Mihailo, which is like a variation of Michael in that region of the world. Former Yugoslavia. I was gonna ask you about that. That's what's up. Yeah. So like in Serbia, Macedonia, Croatia, Bosnia, that whole region. And so when I dropped the album Mihailo and it did really well, like it got on some pretty like credible like hip hop blogs. Ghostface shared it, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ghost. And it got some legs, you know what I'm saying? Especially for like independent artists with no label, you know what I mean? That was a very exciting time, was that year. But because of the name of the project, I think mostly because of the name of the project, and I had a couple people that I knew back home, a lot of hip hop heads out there started like it sparked, I think, a little bit of curiosity with them, like, who's this dude from Detroit? Why is his name Mihailo? Wait a minute, he's right. Serbian. That makes sense. So I think the hip hop heads out there, like the genuine hip hop heads, especially the ones that like fuck with Detroit hip hop heavy, I think it sparked the buzz, it sparked the interest. That there was this first generation Serbian kid who's doing that real shit. Like when they saw me on Shade 4-5 and like I was freestyling and I mentioned something about Serbia, whatever the fuck. And sparked a little bit of buzz. So when I saw that, I always had this concept. Me and my homie Pigpen talked about it years ago, where I wanted to like do like an EP or a project that kind of was like went back to that like part of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I knew right there and then that I was glad I didn't do it up until that point. Yeah. Because now it was like obvious, like, dog, if you're gonna do that, now's the time to do it. So I just came up with the concept, long story short, of let me only sample music from artists of that region, and I'm gonna only work with like the dopest producers in that region and some of the biggest MCs. And that's pretty much what happened. Shout out to the dog in Croatia, Fat Philly. He's one of the legends, the head honchos of hip hop out there. Not just out there, but he's a legend in hip hop in general. Yeah, that just so happens to be from there, and he's very tuned in with the music of the region. And he was hooking me up. And shout out to Vlada Stojanovic. They were hooking me up with the dopest producers from all over the region. So shout out to everybody who helped out with the Plumb Brandy EP. And it was called Plumb Brandy because, like, in our culture, that's the typical staple like liquor drink of our culture is brandy, and typically Plumb Brandy. So that's why I called it that, the Plumb Brandy EP. Yes, sir.
You got my taste buds curious for that. I know I I got to get my hands. I was hoping to get some.
Some, brother. I'll get you some. I got you.
Yeah, no, that's what's up, man. That whole story, though, what I love about that, because I know, you know, especially in hip hop, I mean, we could talk about all art forms, but people have a hard time finding what makes them, right? Like, what is my message? Who am I as an artist? And a lot of times people get caught up trying to emulate someone else, or they don't know who they are, and just having that like thing, like, you know, with the Eastern European kind of, and tapping into that and all that whole thing, like that's wild. Like, cause you mentioned something about how you weren't sure about doing it before. Were you like a little hesitant about how are people in not only in Detroit, in the States, gonna take this?
There was a little bit of that. I was a little bit worried. I didn't want it to come off corny when definitely I didn't want the music to come off like I wanted it to come off like very ethnocentric. Yeah. And if I do this again, I want even a little bit more of that. But I definitely didn't want it to sound like folk music. You get what I'm saying? Like the shit we play at weddings that sounds like almost like polka music. You don't want. Right. And to that, it was really dope. What I found out, like I discovered so much, it really made me proud when I realized, like, dog, back in the 80s in Yugoslavia, there was some dope motherfuckers making like funk, like in the 70s and in the 80s, that were making like soul R&B in that region of the world. Now, when you grow up here in America, I didn't know that growing up. You see what I'm saying? Like I was kind of tunnel vision. When I grew up, I thought our music was typically like almost like wedding music or folk music. And then I realized, like, nah, brother, like there was like modern dope shit. And there is, even when I was growing up, there is like, you know, Serbian Balkan music that I like, that's not corny, like them old songs that like tuck on your soul. I like that shit, but it doesn't make for like good sampling. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I know you got to find that. I hear you.
And the producers overseas, they were like, dog, we got some shit. So they were finding like dope like soul shit that was made in Serbia, or in former Yugoslavia, I should say, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, that like it almost made me proud. Like it made me realize, like, damn, cuz our people are dope at this music shit. You know?
Yeah.
There was a little bit of that.
No, I feel you. You probably feel like you missed out on a lot. Like you were sleeping on that for a long 100%.
time. Like I almost had to like lecture my mom. Like, yo, mom, how come you didn't like put me onto this growing up?
Right.
And she was like, and low key, she was like, well, I knew about some of those artists, but they weren't, it was almost like at that time, because they weren't making like traditional Yugoslavian, Balkan, Eastern European music, they were like an alternative genre. Do you get what I'm saying? They were making like American styles of music in our language, and it wasn't mainstream. But I found some shit, man, that's like, and I got like links like stacked away, dog, and of like secret shit that if I ever want to do this again, of like dope shit that can be flipped into some bangers, you know what I'm saying? So yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. And that's like another aspect, really, aside from the uniqueness of the, you know, Eastern European background and everything, the ear for, because that's one thing that I always drives me crazy, and I don't mean in a bad way, I mean in a good way, just my curiosity. When you hear like a track and you don't know that it's been sampled, like, and then you hear like the original version, and it sometimes can almost not sound anything like it, like how you have that ear for, okay, I'm going to take this from this song and then loop it like.
Yeah, I don't make beats, and I love all my producers. I truly cherish them. I love them, because without them, ain't no me. You know what I'm saying? So
the producers slept on for sure.
Definitely. You know, the rapper is typically the face of the project, and the face. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But the producers supply the canvas, and shout out to all the producers on the Plumb Brandy EP back home that really did their thing. And I do like when I can't guess the sample. Like Dilla has some songs like that where when you did the research and you found out what he sampled and you compare like what he made and they don't sound nothing alike, it's almost like a little bit of a magic trick. Like how in the fuck
that's what I'm saying.
did he get that to sound like this?
Yeah.
And another reason too why motherfuckers, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, got so good at like disguising their samples. They didn't even want to get sued. You know
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Almost like it became a part of the art form where it's like, I want the motherfucker to that I sampled to not even be able to recognize he's hearing his own shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where like the super choppy samples come in and shit like that. So but then sometimes, yeah, you can do too much. You know, sometimes it's just made the perfect way. And I think Madlib gets away with a lot of that shit. Like, oh, I'm just gonna loop this bitch and call it a day.
Yeah. And what happens is what happens, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, no, that's wild. There's this dude, I don't know his name, but he's got these videos and he shows, he's a DJ, he has to be a producer to some capacity, and he shows like songs. He has his whole thread, songs you didn't know were sampled. And this dude had a Drake song. Drake had a song from like an old, it could have been even 60s, a country song from like something you would never think of. And it was sampled from that, like some really obscure type of shit. So that type of stuff just always blows my mind, how something that old can come back to the modern era. And
you never know what motherfucker could dig up when they're in the studio and they go record shopping and they're buying random weird rare records. You know, that's half the battle. You know what I'm saying? Dilla on the song Players, Slum Village, the name of the song is Players. When you listen to it, you sync the sample, the vocal sample saying player, but it's not. He sampled some old like country shit and it's really saying player. But the way he chopped it, he made it say player. You get what I'm saying?
That's wild,
and there's a cool like little psychology to that, because you're also probably think you're hearing player because the name of the song is Player.
Yeah.
So when you read the fucking credits and then you hit play and you hear you're automatically assuming, oh, the sample's saying Player. That's a part of the magic trick to me. You know what I'm saying?
That is 100%. Yeah, that is that's fucking wild, man. And one thing too, man, I want to talk to you about, because I mean, speaking of, we talked about how like the inspiration for the Plumb Brandy, all that Eastern European influence, your background, you know, me myself, like I'm not an immigrant myself, but I come from, you know, immigrants. My mom's family's Jewish, so her family's from Eastern Europe, Russia, Hungary, all that kind of stuff. Hungary, and my dad's family's all Italian, so I had kind of like this weird mix of trying to find my identity and stuff. And with you being like coming to America and everything like that and having that background, did you have this kind of battle of like trying to aside from even music, but just yourself, like who am I, like that, like what was that vibe like for you, like growing up? And
so I'm born and raised here, you know what I'm saying? I'm born at Outer Drive in the Lodge, you know what I'm saying? That was some Detroit shit. But my parents came from back home in the 70s. So I'm born and raised here, you know what I'm saying? And it's yes, I touch up on that a little bit in my song Form Forever. That was a little bit of the original like nucleus, the concept of that record is I'm Form Forever. Like, to people back home, I'm American. You get what I'm saying? I'm born and raised here. My Serbian is not flawless. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can somewhat speak it. I can understand much more than I can speak. And but I've been to Serbia, you know what I'm saying? And not much. But so to them, I'm a foreigner, I'm American. But here, I got a funky first name. You know, my Christmas is celebrated on a whole different day. I'm a foreigner here. Do you get what I'm saying? My parents have heavy accents. So that was kind of the whole concept of Form Forever. Like, it was just another way.
And that's a dope fucking name, by the way. That like that track name itself, and that track is dope as well. But just like that, like, it's what I love about just hip hop is really like taking something that may have been like a negative experience and then just flipping it, like, oh, this is, and you like that's your brand, like you're flashing it, like, man, I'm Form Forever, man. That just has a sexy ass name to it.
It's just what it's funny, man. And the whole kind of concept of that track was kind of like what you just asked me. like, damn, I'm gonna never be looked at as like, growing up, I never felt like I was looked at as one of the, just like the kids on the block or like the kids in the classroom. I was something different, which was cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes motherfuckers wanted to make you feel different. You know what I'm saying? With bullies and shit like that. And it was kind of like, that song was kind of like the Boater's Revenge, the Foreigner's Revenge type concept a little bit. And then Boldy James came through. Shout out to Boldy James, Griselda Records, killed that second verse, and I thought it was a perfect blend. Like, I came in with, like, I was still on some braggadocious bullshit and all that, this, that, and the third, but I still had some like deep meaning. Like, it was coming from like a deep rooted place. And then to combine that with Boldy's verse, where he's just talking that mad shit about like all his foreign shit, his passport stamped up, his chick is foreign, his car is foreign. I just felt like it was a perfect blend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I'm very proud of that song. I'm very proud of that one.
Yeah, that whole concept for sure is absolutely dope,
appreciate
man.
It. Thank you.
Yeah, and you've done. And speaking of Boldy James, man, I just looking at your whole like catalog and stuff with the collabs. I mean, you've really been doing your thing, man. And kind of backtracking a little bit, because what is so like, what's like the timeline? Like, when do you start really pursuing the craft?
I was writing when I was a kid. Thought I was dope. Wasn't dope. Not at all. And in high school and shit like that. Wasn't
right.
Kind of fell out of it a little bit after high school, because you start, I was determined. I was like, I'm a fucking rap when I grow up. You know what I'm saying? And then you get out of high school and you say, oh shit, life is way more serious. And I kind of fell out of it, but then like I reverted back to it, and I was just like, yeah, life is serious, and I want to seriously love my life. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go into this shit. And that was probably 08-ish, 09-ish. 08 or 09, I was like, yeah, I'm going full fledged. Like, this is gonna be my life, and where it takes me, it takes me. You know what I'm saying? And whatever happens, and let the cards land where they will. And that's when I started really, like, I should say, like, not just writing, but studying. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was always kind of a student. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I remember that moment when I was like in 6th or 7th grade, and I was listening to Eminem, and I realized on my own, just like laying there listening to him, like, oh shit, this guy's rhyming like more than one word at a time. Like, there's like rhymes built within the rhymes. I remember noticing that as a kid, shit. But I had no business trying to do that shit. Yeah, I was noticing shit that you do in 10th grade when I was still in 1st grade. And, if I could go back, I would have told myself, like, don't even pay no mind to that shit. Fuck the complex. Just learn how to fucking count bars, bro. Just learn how to find a rhythm, a flow, a cadence. I didn't know nothing. So like when I came in, bro, and even when I was like, I'm gonna be serious, my shit was pretty whack, because I wasn't a natural. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't gifted, or at least I don't think so, with the gift of music. Or if I was, it took me a long time to like blow the dust off. And now I feel very confident that I can come up with a cadence, a flow, a dope pattern, sit in the pocket good. But it took a long time to get there, and I feel like it took a long time to get there because when I should have been just trying to master the elementary shit, I was trying to master the complex shit when I didn't even master the elementary shit. And that hindered me for a long time. But I gotta thank a couple good people like DJ Head that got behind me, my dog Pigpen, my dog J Mac. I gotta thank myself a little bit for not, you know what I'm saying, giving up. And I was just like, I know I got it. Like, I can do this shit. And I feel now like pretty confident saying like, yeah, dog, like I could do this shit. I could write a verse pretty quick. I can come up with a dope hook, and I can come up with dope shit on my own, and I'm good and I'm straight. And you know, that was it took a long time. So to answer your question, I started really studying the craft around like 09, 08. Kept practicing. Every release got a little bit better, but it wasn't really, I don't think until like around 2016, 2017, where motherfuckers said, oh shit, Valid could like really rap now. You know what I'm saying? And it was a good feeling. And I feel we keep getting better and better, you know, in my personal humble opinion.
Yeah, if you keep at it, man.
And and that was the coolest shit about the Mihailo album. When that shit dropped, like seeing motherfuckers say that the shit was sweet.
Yeah,
it was like, yeah, every bit of frustration and hard work was worth it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all you know, you keep pushing, man, and it always comes to fruition.
Yeah.
But that's what I was because I remember, man, when I first started doing shows, you were one of the first people I remember. I mean, at least 2009, 2010, I feel like I was I remember rocking with you, and you a lot of them like shows Mid-Coast Most and that crew would be at and stuff
shout
like
out
that.
To Eddie Logics, man.
Yeah, shout out to Eddie Logics. Shout out to the rest of those cats, man. So were you like before you got on stage for the first time, like, because I feel like when you're taking it to the stage, it's one thing, right, to be in the lab, you know, recording to yourself, making tracks. When you get on that stage, though, that's like in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, you're taking it to a level where it's like, all right, I'm putting myself in front of the people. I'm putting myself out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you put out a song or an album and people don't fuck with it, you may never know, right? But if you're out there in front of people, you see people's faces, like that shit's live and direct. Like, so before you first got on that stage, like what was like where you were like, okay, I'm hitting this stage? Like, do you remember those, like that earlier kind of time frame?
Mad nervous. But I think my saving grace, to piggyback like off my last response of like, yo, my shit wasn't good. I think my saving grace though was the live performances, because I will say, even at that time, when like back in my head, I knew like, man, my shit don't sound as good as his. You know what I'm saying? Like my shit sounds kind of whack compared to his or hers or whatever the fuck.
Right.
That voice shut down when I walked on stage. And I feel like I always had this like unjustified pep in my step and like confidence.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you have no reason to think you're that dope. But the fact that you present yourself like you are, and there's like no nervousness on stage.
Yeah.
I was animated on stage, and I just kind of, I think, commanded a lot of tension and etc. I do think that that's why motherfuckers still probably fuck with me. They didn't bump my CD when they left the Bullfrog, but they enjoyed seeing me on stage at the Bullfrog. You feel what I'm saying? And
that's something.
Yeah, and to further that, Proof's mom, man, really rest in peace, Mama P, rest in peace, Big Proof. She really put the battery pack in me, man. I've told this story quite a few times, but I was performing at the Bullfrog, and I haven't met Super MC yet at that time, and he was one of my favorite Detroit rappers. And when I got booked on the same show with him, that was like exciting to me. And I'm there at the Bullfrog by myself. Soup walks in with a crew of people. I didn't know one of the people that he was with was Big Proof's mom. You know what I'm saying? And this is, again, like 09, some shit like that.
Yeah.
And I go do my thing. And then I find out that's Big Proof's mom. I watch Super MC on stage. I'm amazed. I'm like, holy shit, this motherfucker, you know, is the man, dude. Like, he ain't just dope. When I hear him freestyling on the radio, he could really put a show on.
Yeah.
And after the show, Mama P got on the mic, and she was doing like, you know, just kind of talking to everybody there. And the bar was shutting down, and all the performers were listening. And she just kind of said, like, she was talking about Proof, and she just said something along the lines of, you know, if you really want to make it, if you really want to be dope or whatever it is, you gotta have something about you that just makes people gravitate towards you, like some type of charisma, some type of
Yeah.
whatever. And out of all the people that performed that night, next thing you know, she says, where was that white boy with the long hair? You know what I'm saying? And she points right at me, and I was like, huh? And she goes, keep doing what you do, young man. Just keep working at it and keep practicing, because there's something about you that when you walked on this stage, everybody's eyes were glued to the stage, and whatever. So she was just kind of said, like, you know, you got it. Like, you got something in you, that charisma, that attribute, whatever the fuck it is. And when she told me that, dog, I don't think she knew. She like charged the valid battery pack to capacity.
Yeah.
I grew up with a proof poster on my wall.
Yeah.
So with his mom stamping me like that, I said, if Proof's mom, who's the king, God bless his soul. This is only a few years after, he was taken from us. And I knew my Detroit hip hop history. He the mayor, he the god of Detroit hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like for the woman who birthed him to say that about me, I'm the shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
No, that's yeah, and you have to.
Like,
yeah.
Nothing can stop me anymore. Done.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely. And that's one thing I gotta tell you, really, just because at this point in my life, man, I'm all about showing love. Back then, even, bro, like when we were at shows, I noticed that, man, you fucking killed that stage. Out of a lot of people, you have one of the most memorable performance games. Back then, I was a hater. I was like, man, who's this motherfucker think he is? Like how you were saying, because I was, but that was, back then.
Motherfucker think he's so dope.
Yeah, that was back then though. Like it was, and this is gonna be a good segue into like kind of the next thing I want to pick your brain about. But like, because back then I really was like my ego, which is really my ego has been a huge thing I've always battled with. My ego is either like too crazy, like I'm fucking on some Kanye shit, or it's like I'm not good at anything. Like, what am I even doing living? So trying to find that happy medium, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm just being real. Like, so it's like, it's trying to find that happy medium is really where I've been trying to get to as a man, and like just trying to find my balance and stuff. But so like, because the Detroit hip hop scene, and really, I mean, hip hop in general, but I think Detroit, one thing unique about it is it's like the competitiveness, I feel like, is at such a crazy level. There can be some of those beefs, some of those disagreements, some of those, like rubbing people the wrong way, kind of all that kind of stuff. And speaking of Proof, because this is a great kind of all this segue and all this kind of this culmination of this conversation. I remember, when I grew up, because you talk about Proof and stuff, there was really, you had like Slum Village, you have LZ, and, shout out to LZ, Royce, you had these guys, right? And then you also have the street rappers, right? Street Lords, Cheddar Boys, all that type of shit. I grew up more on the street rappers than like the, if you want to call it quote unquote hip hop head rapper, whatever, however you want to split up the genres.
Right.
But it did seem like, and when I started doing shows and stuff, I noticed that those two worlds were pretty much separate. Do you think like, do you think how it's always going to be, or is there a possibility that those worlds can merge to kind of unite?
I think they do merge sometimes. And shout out to everybody you just mentioned, man. Slum Village, Cheddar Boys, Rock Bottom, Big Hurt.
Yeah, R.I.P. Blade, by the way. R.I.P. Blade.
R.I.P. Blade. That was just what was that? Yesterday or 2 days ago? It was Blade Icewood Day.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of them, man, and shout out. You mentioned Elzai. That's the big homie. I got a lot of respect for El. With that being said, I don't feel. Yes, I understand why it's separate. But in reality, if you want to look closely, it's not as separate as it may look on the surface, because, Big Hurt was on Slum Village's album. You see what I'm saying? And you see this more and more kind of like, especially now, you look at somebody like Boldy James. Boldy James he's in both worlds perfectly. The Proof, what you just mentioned, I think Super MC, who's my big bro, and Proof was his big bro. Soup told me he learned that from Proof. To like, you gotta understand. Let's look at Proof, man. This dude was a member of Five Ella. Who was like Five Ella is like Slum Village's kin. Like they, you know, Dilla produced like Five Ella's like first 2 or 3 albums, and Proof was in that group, and that was on that straight like Detroit soulful hip hop, that genre. You see what I'm saying? That Slum Village, Common, Erykah Badu, Five Ella, Slum Village birthed that shit. You see what I'm saying? Proof was in that group with the motherfucking dreadlocks and shit.
Yeah.
Proof was also a member, and some people forget this, of Goon Squad with Trick Trick. Yeah. And that's on some street shit. You see what I'm saying? And then he's also a member of D12. Right. Like on some like, yo, we about to be the craziest like boom bap lyricists, like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Eminem, Royce the 5'9" type boom bap shit. So I think he's the definition of like, there is no pocket of this shit that I'm not gonna make myself home in. And to see that now, to just kind of say, well, I don't think it's as separated as you think, because you see what Big Sean's doing. Big Sean, you know, Big Sean fucks with Slum Village and Royce and Elzai and M and all that shit. And Big Sean fucks with all the street cats, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, on his newest album, he had that big cipher. That
cipher, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like, it's probably not as separate as you think. And just to kind of give my flowers, man, while I'm here, I always praise Super MC for being on that street shit and being on that hip hop shit. I always praise Big Hurt for being an extremely dope lyricist. On some backpack boom bap hip hop blah 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 shit. Extremely dope lyricist, but he does that street shit. Another one that sticks out to me, Obi Trice was kind of like that to me. Mo Dirty is kind of like that. Seven the General, I think, again, is a very great example of that. And I feel like the king of being able to just make himself at home in any genre of rap. And I look up to him for this. Stretch Money. Stretch Money will give you a titty club song. He'll give you some boom bap hip hop shit. He'll give you some soulful hip hop shit. He'll give you some shit that sounds like it should be on the newest Migos album or like Little Yachty album. He don't give a fuck, and that's why I love Stretch Money. I try to do my best to kind of add to that lineage of, oh, you can put Valid on any song and he's gonna sound just fine. You know what I'm saying? Pitbull can throw me on a fucking pop record and I'm gonna kill that shit.
Fuck it,
and Apollo Brown, you know, I was on Apollo Brown's last album. I do some boom bap shit because that's really who I am. You know, I'm always gonna be really who I am, but my natural gravitation is always gonna be that boom bap, that hip hop, that fly shit, man. And but shout out to the motherfuckers that got it in them to do everything. And on a non-Detroit level, Snoop Dogg and Busta Rhymes are like the king of that. Yeah.
No, you're right.
They can go with any genre, they can go with any artist, and they don't sound out of place.
Yeah, even out of hip hop. Yeah, I mean, even like doing
record,
songs with Willie Nelson.
Exactly, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Bus and Snoop are the kings of that.
Yeah, and I do think now like things are definitely merging because the sound, like Big Sean and some of these, even Royce, some of these guys, like there's clearly like a hybrid sound now. So I think you're absolutely right in terms of that merging and stuff. And I'm definitely glad to see that because I feel like when I was like heavy in the scene, you know, like 10 years ago, so on and so forth, I felt like there was definitely, it seemed like there was a lot more like division between people and it seemed like harder to find unity. But it does seem like now there is a lot more A lot more of that, a lot more connectivity, and just so much. I mean, there's so much dope music being made right now.
It's new blood, bro. It's younger
Yeah.
people who are now in the game that grew up liking all this shit. So they
Yeah.
do all this shit. And I think you know, Kendrick Lamar is a perfect example.
Absolutely.
He's got songs that will appeal to like the top 40 stations. He's got lyrics that appeal to hip hop purists.
Yeah.
And then he's got shit that appeals to motherfuckers who just like that hood ass street shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when he had that big hit, my last show just went viral. That beat to me sounds like some late 90s Detroit street shit.
Yeah.
That dun, 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 like that shit sounds like some Cheddar Boy shit. That shit sounds like some Rock Bottom, Blade Icewood, but just like in a modern hip hop version.
Yeah.
And the street motherfuckers like that song. It did pop numbers, and I love that song. And I'm a fucking boom bap, backpack, hip hop, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You know, so yeah, brother. Music evolves and it blends and it grows, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And yes, I feel like music right now, man, it feels like it's in a really good place. I mean, there's a lot of creativity, a lot of artists that, you know, I feel like are getting their flowers, you know, while they're alive. Like, you know, I remember I grew up a big Royce fan too. And I remember around the time of like Rock City, and even a little bit before that, like even like I actually first heard his music actually on the Grand Theft Auto soundtrack. The Grand Theft Auto 3, the video game. Yep. He had tracks all over that bitch. And I was like, man, this dude is so dope. But he just wasn't getting that mainstream love. And I was like, how is it? It didn't make sense to me because I was like, this dude, I actually still believe this. I'll say this right now. And some people, I don't think anybody from Detroit will argue with me, but people nationally might. I think talented wise, like if you're talking about lyrics, you're talking about flow, you're talking about bars, I don't think anybody can fuck with Royce, bro. I think it's a hard, I think, you know, if you're looking at everything, because, you know, Eminem gets looked at as, and he does have all these crazy technical skills. And a lot of times, especially back in the day, it was hard for Eminem to look like he got the shorter end of the stick on a song. Any track he's done with Royce, I feel like Royce has definitely been like the one like you're like, oh, this dude is clearly got a little bit of an edge here. Right. Like there's something a little bit smoother, a little bit sharper, a little bit.
I think Royce is, I would mostly agree with you, bro. I recently was at around some people and they say, who the best rapper like out right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's easy. Royce the 5'9".
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think his last two albums, I mean, his last album was Grammy nominated. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, not, you know, even if it wasn't Grammy nominated, it wouldn't change my mind. He's my man's is in the last few years, he was always super dope, always an incredible MC, always an incredibly skilled rapper. But where he went with his music on these last two albums, Book of Ryan and what was the most recent
Allegory?
Yeah, the Allegory. I think he solidified himself as he's more than just a rapper.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's more than just a dope rapper. This guy's a dope fucking artist with something to say. He got more personal. His music got more personal. It got more deeper. And in a weird, corny sense, it got more refined, beautiful.
Yeah.
Like his music got more crispy. And he was always an incredible rapper. You feel what I'm saying? But now his bodies of work show that he's more than just a dope rapper. This guy is an incredible artiste. You know what I'm saying? Like the music snob is coming out a little bit. And
no, I feel you.
Yeah,
100%.
the motherfucker's dope as fuck is basically what I want to say. Is he the king of rap to me right now, bro. So shout out to Royce the 5'9". We're lucky to have him, that he's from this city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So salute to Royce. And shout out to Kid Vicious, man. That's my guy. And also a super dope MC. And go check out Valid and Kid Vicious, Young Bucks, one of my favorite songs I ever put out.
That's what's up.
Shout out to Kid Vicious. That's my Jeezy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's both those dudes are dope. Yeah, and what you're saying too, and I think that kind of is a little bit of the vibe of this conversation from what we were talking about from your most recent work. Royce kind of you go from there's like being a rapper, right? Where I'm writing bars, I'm just rapping about anything, and you should start there. You should kind of start with the fundamentals, but finding that like niche, right? That like going from being just a rapper to an artist, which Royce has definitely evolved into at this point, which I feel like you're evolving to at this point.
Thank you.
Finding that like, you know, that thing. I mean, it's hard to do, right? It's not a easy, and you got to take chances, like you said, with going with that Eastern European sampling and really saying I want to put a whole vibe out like this. But you got to have the heart to take that chance. Otherwise, you're just gonna be stuck, kind of. You know,
you gotta take the chance, and you're absolutely correct. Because when I was, a lot of those rappers in that stage, I think they think they don't have nothing super meaningful to say.
Right.
Like, I think they're scared to talk about the things that maybe happen in their life that is maybe very deep and personal.
Yeah.
Or they're scared to try to make you feel something and not just impress you with a dope fucking verse, but make you really feel and think something. Because I think they're scared that like maybe their homies or other people are gonna be like, oh, come on, dog, you gonna fucking, you know what I'm saying? You about to be Common or Talib Kweli or some shit like that.
Right.
Like, you know, you got something, you know, meaningful and powerful to say, like, you know, or they're scared it's going to come off a little bit too artsy fartsy. You know what I'm saying? Like too, I don't know, eclectic or some shit. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Yeah, but, no, I feel what you're saying though. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you really want to be more than just a dope rapper with skills and talent and verses and bars, you gotta say some shit that's not just impressive, but a motherfucker can feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it is risky, and it takes extreme focus to really, in my opinion, to really craft a good album.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more than good songs. An album is not just a collection of songs. There needs to be a certain theme, not necessarily like a theme, like an overall thing, but there needs to be certain underlining themes. So it's maybe not obvious,
right?
But there's just certain reoccurring.
It has a feel.
Themes. There's a feel, the types of beats, and the topics don't have to, like, each song can be about something completely different, but somehow, some way, they complement each other, they correlate with each other, and I feel like a couple perfect examples of this. I think Common makes really, really good albums.
Yeah.
They're usually short, like 10 to 11, 12 songs. And there's a specific vibe from the first song to the last song, specific topics that he kind of stays relevant on. So it's almost like you watch a movie. You know what I'm saying? You're locked in this certain zone and this certain vibe. Yeah. Another great example to me of just like a perfectly put together album when it comes to like the shit that I'm talking about, and it's one of the greatest albums of all time. Everybody knows it. Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah.
Like the songs aren't really about the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's reoccurring themes that keep popping up throughout the album. And there's a certain energy about the album from beginning to end. So I think a lot of rappers have okay albums full of great songs. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, damn, that's a great song on its own.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make a great album, it takes more than a collection of great songs. That's a mixtape to me. And a lot of rappers
that's 100% right,
make dope ass mixtapes. It's just a random assortment of bangers. I don't consider that a dope album. You feel what I'm saying? So Kendrick Lamar makes great albums.
Yeah.
Like the Mad City shit. So, you know, I'm rambling a little bit, but shout out to fucking Royce the 5'9" for making
shout out Royce,
extremely dope albums. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, and that's there is definitely something, I think, and that's I was talking to one of my last podcasts. I had this dude Samson Schulman, shout out to him. He's got a podcast too called Connection is Magic. He used to be an A&R for Interscope. So he does a lot of stuff where he's talking to whether it's artists or other people, some form of the industry. I had him on and we were talking about like the different stages of just like making it, you know, in the industry and like how hard, you know, you think about a record deal, right? And like how crazy just a record deal is. But that's not even like, that's literally like step one. That's like, just because you got a deal don't mean nothing, bro. So once you get a deal, then it's like, okay, like, can you make a song? Can you make a song that people that's gonna like, and I'm just talking about on the, you know, mainstream industry kind of thing, but like, okay, can you make a hit song? Making a hit song itself, like we were talking about, like, man, you know, there's a stereotype about one hit wonders, right? That like they get kind of made fun of, but you don't even think about how crazy it is just to be able to have that, just to be able to have a song that like goes off, you know,
resonating with that many people.
Right. And then having an album, having a solid album that goes off like that, like just the crazy levels of that. And then it's like, okay, well, can you make another album that's, you know, so it's all this crazy kind of, you know, levels of stuff that you don't really, sometimes you don't think about on the surface of things. But so we were talking about that. And yeah, I mean, making that album that feel, you know, that's Kendrick is definitely someone who I feel like I don't listen to Kendrick to just listen to one song. If I'm throwing on Kendrick, I'm throwing on Good Kid, Mad City. I'm throwing on To Pimp a Butterfly. I'm throwing on Damn, and I'm just vibing. I'm just going, you know, letting it play out because it is just one thing. Whereas like, and I love Drake. Like Drake's one of my favorite artists. I'm going to keep it a buck with you, but I'm not letting a Drake. I don't know if I'm letting a Drake album play from front to back. I might get a little choosy and kind of say, oh, I fuck with this. I fuck with that. J. Cole, though, I fuck with, you know, he's kind of like, I feel like in between both of those guys. He's like, I can
J. Cole,
I can let an album ride out with him too.
What's some other good, based on what we're talking about? Here's another person who makes really good albums. Black Milk from Detroit. Yeah. I think I just posted his album yesterday. I was listening to his album Fever that dropped a couple years ago, and it was the same thing. I was just like, this album is so well put together. It puts me in a specific zone. The album does, not just the song puts me in a zone. The album puts me in a zone, and it's just dope, man. It's just dope. Shout out to Black Milk.
Absolutely. Shout out Black Milk. I actually first, this was, God damn, how long ago was this? This has got to be, I don't know, 12 years ago. I don't know. He did an album with Fat Ray. Shout out to Fat Ray too. They had an album
I got together. Bananas.
Yeah.
He did a few. Yup. That's my shit. Fat Ray is one of my favorite rappers from Detroit. And Fat Ray's the shit. And a lot of those Black Milk beats on that Fat Ray album, I think, ended up on the Slum Village album that came out like in 07 or 08 or some shit like that with just Elzhi and T3 in it. And the name of the album was actually Slum Village. But shout out to Black Milk, shout out to Fat Ray, shout out to SV, shout out to Elzhi. Love them all.
All them, man.
I know I got that Fat Ray album somewhere over here. I got a giant CD collection to the left of me.
Yeah.
And I know it's in here somewhere.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that was one of the first. I mean, this had to be years ago now, but yeah, I remember we were somehow we were connected. I don't even remember. I mean, my memory is so foggy with all the different people I met over the years, but we were somehow getting connected, and I remember getting that album and all that kind of stuff. So it was wild. So speaking of, you know, because you mentioned Black Milk, we talk about producers and all that. Like, so one thing that makes I feel like that album cohesive, really, this is again my opinion, is really one producer overseeing the majority of it. Like I feel like you mentioned Marshall Mathers LP, and again, I don't want to get myself in any hot water because I know the Eminem conversation can be very controversial depending on where you're at with his newer stuff. But I feel like the reason why his earlier albums were so classic. Obviously, Eminem is talented as a rapper. That's not really debatable in my opinion. But the production, there was definitely Slim Shady LP had a vibe, right? The whole thing had a vibe. Marshall Mathers LP, I think out of all of those albums, does have the purest. The production all sounds very cohesive. It sounds like from when it was first thought of to when the last track they put on there all sounds like it was from the same sessions. You don't feel like Slim Shady LP, obviously half of it was recorded before he got signed, and then Dre finished up some production. So the production on that album, not the greatest overall because it doesn't have that cohesive, but it's still my personal favorite because I just love the fact that we have an album of somebody who half of that he didn't know how, like he was trying to just have a roof over his head working at a pizza place, you know what I'm saying? And then the other half, he's got this crazy record deal. He's working with Dr. Dre. So just that whole, the craziness of that always that's why I personally love that album. But yeah, like bringing this kind of to you, because I know with the Plumb Brandy and stuff like that, you had to kind of, because you're working with these guys kind of virtually, right? Because they're overseas and you're having to communicate with them and everything like that. Like, did you feel like was part of you, when this is first kind of being thought of and you're working on this album, were you like, man, I can't be in the same physical space as them? Like, were you kind of concerned about how that, that vibe and that collaboration between you and them was going to be because of this whole kind of situation that you were in with doing it?
Not too concerned. And the reason why, and it's funny you mentioned the Marshall Mathers LP, because my main producer, my Dr. Dre, my OG is DJ Head. So when I was working on the Mihailo album, when I'm working on the Plumb Brandy album, I'm getting beats from many different guys, but DJ Head, Pigpen, and Tone Rizzo, that's my team. Yeah. And DJ Head was on the team for the Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Mathers LP. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very blessed to be working with him, and he tells me stories all the time of what you were just saying. Like, he was there for both of those albums working on that shit, and just the super long sessions when he worked on the Marshall Mathers LP out in LA with Dre and M, and he was a part of that team. You know what I'm saying? And now he's, you fast forward to here. I call them my ears. My man Pigpen, super dope producer. My dog DJ Head, obviously Grammy Award winning Shady Aftermath producer, DJ, all that, you know what I'm saying? Legend. And my engineer, Tone Rizzo from Soundsmith Studios, also Grammy Award winning. I trust them. I trust their ears more than mine. Yeah. And that's how I made these two projects, the Mihailo album and the Plumb Brandy EP, is they were really involved in each song and helped me mold it to what I was trying to mold it to. So I didn't really have much nervousness. But the way I record, my secret strategy is there's a 4 to 5 person checklist, and it's me, Head, Pigpen, Tony Rizzo, and then whoever made the beat.
I got you. Yeah, that's what's up.
Until all 5 of us say, "Yo, this is dope," that shit don't come out.
That's what's up. I fucks with that, man. Yeah, you got me. I'm stealing some of I'm picking some of these ideas, bro. I'm putting them in the toolbox, bro.
That's why when I talk about my Mihailo album, I almost oh shit, can you see me? My phone's active. Okay.
I got you.
That's why when I talk about my Mihailo album, I almost feel like selfish saying it's like my album, because there was, many people and many artists and musicians who worked on that album. And I feel it's very important to have
showcase that,
producers, not beat makers, producers that understand music. Like DJ Head didn't make none of my beats on either one of these, but he produced the album along with me. You get what I'm saying? Pigpen made a few beats on the Mihailo album. So all their opinions, like, yo, you need to redo that verse. I'm sorry, I'm plugging up my phone.
Oh, you're good, bro.
We
multitasking over here, bro.
Yeah. So all the times, that they said, yo, Val, that shit ain't sweet. You need to redo your verse, or we need something, we need a bridge on this song, or the beat needs to switch up, or some shit like that. That's them, man. That's them more so than me. And I mean, I'm a part of it too. I'm not trying to discredit myself, but it was all of us. It was a collective effort. I'm very proud of that. All of us are very proud of it, I think. And the world accepted the Mihailo album pretty good. For those that are aware of who Valid is and aware that I exist and aware that my Mihailo album exists, that was I think we were very proud of that. And the world, the listeners who fuck with me, they were the response was very, very positive. I was nervous as hell, but I think it like proved like, yup, this tactic works. Get you a team that likes the same type of music you like, that sees your vision, and they're not going to try to steer you different. They're just going to make sure that, okay, we're going to get this song done the way you want it, but we're going to make sure it's dope. It's dope to us, at least, because if it's dope to us, it's going to be dope to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of some old school Motown Records shit. That's how they said Motown Records was. Like, all the executive and all the other artists, they would play songs once a week, and they would ask, if you had $1, you can either buy this 45 or a sandwich to feed yourself.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather buy? Some shit like that. The whole board at Motown Records had to say that's the shit in order for that song to come out.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, man. And man, you've been killing it, man. Keep this grind up, man. I appreciate you, coming on.
Thank you
podcast,
for having me,
man.
Tony. I appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely, man. And anything you got to plug, man. Let the people know where they can find everything.
Yeah. For those that don't know, my name is Valid. My website is valid313.com. All my social media is valid313. Valentine's Day 4 just dropped last month. It's like a tiny desk style concert for YouTube, me, DJ Head, and a live band. Go watch it. It's like 30-some minutes long. It's super dope. The Mihailo album out. The Plumb Brandy EP is out. The refill version, deluxe version is out. And if you fuck with my music, please go follow Valid on any music streaming platform. And if you want to buy some merch, I got hoodies, t-shirts, vinyl records, CDs, stickers, all that. Just go to valid313.com. And to the world of hip hop, I love you. To the world of music, I love you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
And peace and love to everybody.
Absolutely. And you do have those glasses too, man. I need to cop one of those glasses.
Sold out, brother.
That bitch, sold out. Are we restocking though? We got to do a restock. Them bitches are too dope, man.
Maybe one day.
I thought I was dead.
All right, be easy,
I'm
man.
on it.
Appreciate you.
Came back on you instead. Karma. We ain't partners and we damn sure ain't friends. Raising hell till that's where you descend. You a damsel distressed, and I ain't Captain Save a Hole neither. It's the first the rent due. Pay is gon' leave her. Any questions? Save it for the teacher. Only thing that you should ask is what's to pay me for a feature. Baby, sign your t-shirt. You should do your research. Been standing on top so long, my feet hurt. If we freestyle, I'll run off with your threads. I got a fever, I'm hot off of the head. Shots over your head, want my props in my cred. My beat so big, you think Pac wasn't dead. Wanna harm me, then you'll need an army full of men. Don't think that I could take your Barbie, I can. Ropes of the bread, till my whole people fed. Then I skirt up in a Rari that's Soviet red. I know that your man